On a chilly October evening in 2017, Rachel Dane, 26 years old, charismatic and ambitious, drove down Route 47, a winding two-lane road flanked by thick forest known as Elm Hollow. Just 40 minutes outside Springfield, Missouri, she was heading home after a work event at a regional marketing conference. She texted her roommate, "Leaving now. Should be home by 10:30. She never arrived. Asterisk when her car was found the next morning, abandoned on the shoulder near mile marker 112, the scene seemed almost too pristine. The red 2010 Honda Civic was locked. Rachel's purse was still inside. Her heels were outside the car, side by side, as if placed there with care. Her phone had been powered off. There was no blood, no sign of a struggle, just a deep, unsettling silence in the trees. Asterisk police began their investigation within hours of the discovery. At first, they believed it could have been a voluntary disappearance. Rachel was ambitious and had recently broken off a 2-year relationship with a co-worker, Paul Avery, a charismatic man with a temper. She had told friends she needed a total reset in life. But those who knew Rachel best dismissed that idea. She had just been promoted. She was working on a big project. She had plans to travel to Italy with friends in November. Asterisk then came. The twist, dashcam footage from a trucker passing by that night captured Rachel's car parked on the side of the road with someone standing near it. The footage was grainy, but investigators noted the figure was not alone. Another person appeared behind the car, partially obscured by shadows. Both figures vanished into the woods minutes later. Asterisk police immediately began searching the dense Elm Hollow woods. Cadaver dogs, helicopters, hundreds of volunteers. Nothing, no scent trails, no physical evidence. It was like Rachel had evaporated into the forest air. Asterisk detectives began focusing on Rachel's past and inner circle. Her ex-boyfriend, Paul, became the immediate suspect. He had a history of possessiveness. He had called Rachel multiple times. The week she disappeared, one text read, "If I can't have you, no one will." But Paul had a solid alibi. He was working a night shift at a local warehouse, verified by time-stamped security footage. Asterisk, as the investigation widened, whispers about Elm Hollow began to surface. Local folklore called it the Drowning Forest, a place cursed since the 1800s when settlers vanished there during the winter freeze. But Rachel's parents refused to entertain myths. "Our daughter is real. Her pain is real. Whoever took her is real," her mother told the press. Asterisk then, 3 weeks later, an unmarked envelope arrived at the Dane family home. Inside was a photograph Rachel, tied to a tree in the forest, her mouth gagged with duct tape, eyes wide open. She was alive. The photo was dated 2 days prior. Police ran the image through forensics. The trees in the background matched Elm Hollow. The camera's GPS data had been wiped. Asterisk, the FBI joined the case. A task force combed the region. But it was a tip from a local hunter that changed everything. He reported seeing a light flickering deep in the woods one night, in a remote section near an abandoned ranger station. Agents moved in. Asterisk, inside the decrepit station, they found what looked like a hideout. Old food wrappers, water bottles, blanket sand, a mirror with Rachel's name carved into it. On the wall was a chilling note. "She walks the hollow now." Asterisk, the case became national news. People speculated, was this a kidnapping, a serial offender, a cult, or something worse? Asterisk, but as authorities investigated further, they made a startling discovery. Rachel's laptop, previously assumed to be missing, had been reconnected to Wi-Fi just 5 days earlier from a nearby town called Ash Grove. Surveillance footage from a gas station in Ash Grove showed a woman frail, wearing a hoodie matching Rachel's description. She was alone. She walked like she hadn't eaten in days. Asterisk, and then she vanished again. Asterisk, episode 1 ends with a pressing question that haunted the nation. Asterisk, is Rachel still alive, or is someone playing a terrifying game with everyone involved? The sighting in Ash Grove electrified the nation. The woman on the grainy security footage bore a striking resemblance to Rachel Dane. She was alone, hood pulled tight, sunken cheeks, clutching a bottle of water as she stepped through the automatic doors of a dimly lit gas station. Asterisk, it was 1:42 a.m. She paid in cash and didn't say a word to the clerk. When the footage was broadcast on national news, Rachel's mother cried for the first time in days. "That's her," she whispered, her fingers trembling as she touched the screen. "That's my baby." Asterisk, but who had let her go and why? Asterisk, the FBI scoured Ash Grove within 24 hours. Bloodhounds followed faint scent trails that led toward a shuttered motel off an old mining road. Room 6 had been recently occupied. Inside, agents found a torn piece of duct tape, blood smeared on the mattress, and, most disturbingly, an old Polaroid of Rachel, this time, eyes closed. Dated just 2 days prior. No note, no prints, no Rachel. For weeks, the public feared the worst. Then, on November 28th, almost 2 months after she vanished, Rachel Dane walked out of the woods on her own. Asterisk, she was barefoot, caked in dirt, her wrists bruised and raw. She appeared near a ranger checkpoint 6 miles from where her car was originally found. A group of hikers spotted her wandering aimlessly in a daze, speaking in whispers. The only words she kept repeating were, "He's still in the trees." Asterisk, paramedics rushed her to a hospital in Springfield. Rachel was severely dehydrated, 10 pounds underweight, and deeply traumatized. She couldn't give investigators a full statement immediately. But what she eventually revealed unraveled one of the most bizarre and disturbing kidnapping cases Missouri had ever seen. The Forest Prison, asterisk, according to Rachel's eventual testimony, she had pulled over that night because she thought she hit something on the road, a deer, maybe. But as she got out, someone grabbed her from behind and injected something into her neck. She blacked out, asterisk, when she woke up. She was in a makeshift cell, concrete floor, wooden walls, a single bucket for waste. It wasn't underground, but she said the air was damp and she could hear trees creaking above. For days she wasn't sure how many she was kept isolated. Someone brought her food through a slot. At first, they never spoke. Then the voice started talking. Asterisk, it was male.com. Almost kind. He never revealed his name, only calling himself the Keeper. Asterisk, he told Rachel she had been chosen because of her public sins. He said she had to pay for the falsehoods she sold the world, that she lived behind a mask. He knew things about her no one should have known: old relationships, a college cheating scandal, even her childhood nickname from camp, Birdie. Asterisk, she tried to reason with him, tried to escape, but the facility, wherever it was impossible to navigate. She was eventually let outside under supervision, forced to walk in the forest, barefoot, a leash around her waist, like a pet. She whispered, and then came others. Yes, others. Asterisk, Rachel said she wasn't alone. At least 2 other women were held at various times. One named Jess had been there before Rachel arrived, but disappeared one night after a loud argument with the Keeper. Rachel never saw her again. Another. Mia came later. She was only there for 2 weeks. One morning, she was gone too. Rachel feared the worst. But then Rachel saw her chance. One night, her captor forgot to lock the outer door. She bolted into the woods, barefoot, running for what felt like hours until she reached an abandoned rail track. From there, she made her way to Ash Grove, hungry, lost, terrified. She hid in an old barn for days, before attempting to make contact at the gas station. But she feared being found again, so she disappeared back into the woods until the day she finally collapsed, near the ranger checkpoint. Finding the keeper with Rachel's harrowing account, the FBI launched a full manhunt, using her description of the interior layout and subtle geographic clues like the direction of birds at dawn and a rusted water tower in the distance. They triangulated the possible location of the makeshift prison, and they found it, deep within the most remote part of Elm Hollow stood a decommissioned Civilian Conservation Corps shelter from the 1930s. Inside were 3 small cells, chains on the walls, and disturbing messages scrawled in chalk. Lie down to learn, beauty must break, and the mask is the sin. DNA samples matched Rachel. Blood also belonged to a woman named Jessica. Moran reported missing in 2015 from Kansas City. But the place had been abandoned days before. In the woods near the shelter, they found a freshly dug grave. Inside was the body of Mia Thomas, 20 years old, missing since August 2017. She had been buried with care, wrapped in a blanket, a small music box left beside her. It played a lullaby Rachel later identified as the one her captor hummed during her first week of imprisonment. Then came the break. A fingerprint found inside a sealed food jar matched Dr. Marcus Leary, a once prominent psychology professor at a small liberal arts college near Springfield. He had vanished in 2014 after being accused of inappropriate relationships with students. The case had gone nowhere, and Leary had seemingly disappeared. Until now, a nationwide alert went out. The FBI discovered he had been living under a new identity, Graham Stiles, posing as a forest management consultant. He'd been renting a cabin just 12 miles from Elm Hollow under a fake name. When agents arrived, the cabin had been burned to the ground but nearby, inside a parked car, was a suicide note. Only, there was no body. Just teeth planted, likely from a cadaver. Leary, it seemed, had faked his death. The manhunt resumed, but he was gone, vanished into the very woods he'd used as his hunting ground for years. Aftermath. Rachel Dane's return was hailed as miraculous, but the trauma she endured reshaped her forever. She moved out of Missouri, refused most interview requests. In her one and only televised statement, she said, he thought he broke me, but all he did was show me how deeply broken he was. I'm alive, and that's my victory. Jessica Moran and Mia Thomas were honored in a public vigil held at the edge of Elm Hollow. A plaque now stands there, in memory of those stolen by darkness. We remember, we fight. As for Dr. Marcus Leary, the keeper, his case remains open. Every few months, there's a new sighting. Canada, Oregon, even Alaska. But none have led to his capture. And yet, hikers still report strange things in Elm Hollow. Faint humming at night, flashlights flickering in patterns, messages etched into trees, and the occasional distant voice calling from nowhere. Birdie, come home.